Leave me the fuck alone, woman. And we are all right. Welcome to the Red on stream number 234. Mad Dodge beats his wife. No, I'm kidding.
Mad Dodge beaten by his wife.
Fucking iced tea on my fucking back. Damn evil women.
Did you win the game?
Did you win the game? What the hell are you talking about, memes?
Yeah, no, they put poor Gatorade on the coach.
He babbles. Ignore it.
That's Gatorade. That's not iced tea, and that's a bucket. He's not a glass.
Maybe he completed a quest on Red Dead too.
Don't respond to him,
and his wife throws a freaking glass of tea at him.
So, speaking of the draft, so in the United States of America, we have the Selective Service. The Selective Service, every dude by the age of 18 needs to sign up for it. I remember doing this when I was back in high school, so just my question is, since gals don't sign up for it, is the Selective Service sexist?
Yeah, and they should also be the right to vote.
Well, okay, is it sexist in what way? Do you expect women to be on the front lines fighting?
What?
Yep.
I'm just asking because we don't have.
I'm answering with a question. Granted, but it's still an answer. Do you expect the women to be on the front lines fighting?
MC, I have no problem with.
They can do whatever roles they are capable of to achieve the mission.
Don't mix
the.
I'm not asking.
Shut the fuck up. I'm saying right that if they're going to be in active units on the battlefield, then they should be female-only ones. They should not be mixed.
Okay.
So there's no point expecting
that's segregation.
But it's strategic and it's necessary because you can't expect some young woman to drag out some 250-pound guy from a foxhole.
What if they have the capability to meet whatever stringent requirements?
Nope. Doesn't matter.
Wait,
still going to
there are a lot of folks that can't just meet certain requirements anyway.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Cabby. Okay, even if you segregated your own army between the sexes, right? Which, by the way, right now, that would be pretty hard to do with all 34 genders. But anyway, moving on from that ridiculousness. That doesn't mean your enemy is only going to send women troops after your woman brigade. I mean, they're still going to be fighting.
That's not why you do it. That's not why you do it.
No. You only want...
But you do it from a readiness standpoint. You're not worried about sending out a unit against unit. You're not pretending all your units are the same as the enemy units. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is readiness. And units that are mixed are not as militarily ready for combat as units that are single sex, whether it's women or whether it's men. That's how it's always been. There's a reason why you don't see mixed units in even the Israeli army.
So what is it missing? Why are you guys screaming at each other like?
Oh, we're getting ready to. Don't worry.
All right, we're discussing the Selective Service, and basically, as you know, every dude by the time they reach 18, they need to sign up for it. Gals do not sign up for it. Does that make it sexist?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've already said that women should sign up for it.
It's a privilege. Well, it's an additional privilege, not having to sign up for it.
Oh, I thought you said signing up was a privilege, like it was like a boys' club.
No, not having to sign up is a fucking privilege.
What?
Well, you see, this is the trouble. You don't think, do you?
But if it was pitched as a boys' club, that's exclusive to only men.
But it isn't. But it isn't. So shut up. You're talking about.
Well, even if it was pitched that way, women would not be diving in droves to get there.
Well, I mean that's just objective reasoning. I'm just speaking from a marketing standpoint.
Well, you're talking
even from a marketing standpoint. I mean,
excuse me, Streisand effect standpoint.
Oh, Cabby, well, I've got you here right now. Dodge wanted to have a debate with me on this whole PayPal Patreon thing, since he disagrees with what they're doing, and I think they're shit, but because they're a privately owned company.
Okay, so corporations shouldn't have to apply the law of the land. Interesting argument. Okay, yeah, I'll quite happily moderate that.
If you attempt to do that, go with that route, Cabbage. It's going to be a short argument. You're going to lose.
I know. That's what I mean. It's just kind of cuts your knees off, isn't it? Really.
Hey, you know what? If I have to bake the fucking cake, they have to transfer my money.
Oh. Are we going the sovereign citizen route, or are we going Peterson-tron?
What's Peterson? I'm not sure.
No, it's ridiculous what they're doing. What PayPal and Patreon and all these companies are doing are discriminating against people's political beliefs. If I'm not allowed to discriminate against somebody being gay and wanting a gay wedding cake, what if I don't want to bake it? Well, the law in Oregon says I have to fucking bake it. Well, then PayPal has to transfer my fucking money. They have to transfer Richard Spencer's fucking money too.
No, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, this is a basic principle of are they required to apply the law? Well, to abide by the law.
Save it for the debate stream.
No.
So wait, I'm not even sure if we're arguing that point. All I'm saying, man, is I think this might be just kind of the edge of current law. And the reason why I say that is because we're discussing, and we have discussed before a couple months ago, is PayPal a bank? And somebody said, do they offer loans? They do offer shorter term loans, and I haven't checked in about the past month or so. But if they offer loans and that classes them as a financial institution, does financial institution... Yeah.
And so, Twitter is, censoring. So that puts it underneath the publishing rules. All of these Silicon Valley companies are effectively using technical loopholes to get away with acting in a totally illegal manner.
Well, that's the problem. That isn't the problem. The problem isn't that. The problem is that they're using government regulation to actually deny people things from utilizing the government. If they weren't associated with the government in any way, shape, or form, that would be one thing. But they are. But let's not get into that right now.
Wait,
why not? Because they're even meddling. They're even meddling in the market by turning down Subscribestar and all these other companies that are trying to compete with PayPal. The shit is ridiculous.
I'm not
or compete with Patreon or compete.
Well, anyway, what was the conversation meant to be? Oh yeah, the service thing, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, but Sharati, I would very much like to be either a moderator or opposing you.
No, Dodge wants you to be on his side, which means you'd be opposing me, Sugar.
That's what I said. I said I either moderate or oppose you.
Yeah, you're
just letting you know.
You're agreeing what you're disagreeing about.
Okay. Whatever. We'll save it for the debate. But it's an interesting. Well, what's interesting is the argument I have to make kind of is contrary to the libertarian argument. The libertarian argument actually aligns with Sharati here. But if you're going to have the law on bakers, then you have to have it on the financial institutions as well.
So you're steel manning a point.
We'll argue the point later. Back to your point.
back to Patreon. And apparently, Professor Peterson and
back to the services.
Back to registering for selective service.
Okay, can women even shoot guns?
Yeah.
Yes.
Women can fire weapons. That's very true.
Oh yeah, I forgot my buzzer laws here. I have to watch what I say. I'm gonna end up getting yelled at.
You'll end up getting shot.
Women have guns.
Welcome, Mr. Ellie.
And you was never heard from again.
Well, if the answer is yes,
every night.
well, no, I was making that. I was putting that question out there for a reason. If the answer is yes, which obviously it is, the next question is: are women equal to men? The answer to that is yes. Then why don't they have to sign up?
Because combat is not shooting guns necessarily.
Yeah.
Combat and warfare and combat
are part of individual
reconnaissance.
Exactly. It's more than just individual strength, although that's part of it. But there's also the fact that whenever you have mixed units, readiness drops. It's happened every time they create mixed combat units. You can have units that are all female. For lack of a better term, we'll call them Amazon battalions. The problem with Amazon battalions, quite frankly, is while they are very good in the defense, when it comes to movement and offensive operations, they suck.
Oh, come on. What about the wax way back in the day?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I mean, yeah, when you go back to the 1942, I mean, but the thing was, they weren't mixed units. The women did the administration. They were doing things like, they were working with the pilot.
They can be in logistical chains and everything, but they're not part of combat. They're not combat units.
Well, if you're talking any type of combat or type of war or something, you want to maximize the ability of your fighting force with everything you have.
This is what you do.
Women were making all the munitions.
MC, this is what you do. You have them all trained together for about 6 months, right? That way they all sync, and they all have their periods at the same time of the month, and then you put them on the front line.
My goodness.
Nobody will stand a chance.
Well, that's probably the most sexist thing of the day.
Only during that 1 week.
Oh my God, memes. You really want me to shoot you some days, don't you?
You say that very often.
Get a rise out of people.
He just says.
Look, he doesn't
really
believe anything that
stuff.
He doesn't believe anything he says. He thinks he's a troll, and it's really
clever.
I like this.
I'm going to try to boil down and reiterate what I've heard from some of my friends that have actually.
God, you are a fucking wind-up merchant.
Okay, anyway, go on.
You really are.
When we brought up the gals in the combat units, they said, "Hey, it's just one of those things. It's guys' natural proclivity to protect women."
Right.
And you also very often it's just biology and people they bond. And he described it from that point why he might feel uncomfortable.
Might feel uncomfortable, my ass. The first thing is readiness is affected because instead of when you're sitting alone in a frickin' foxhole with your frickin' foxhole buddy, instead of watching out, what do you think that the mixed couple is probably doing? You think they're watching out, or you think they're busy engaged in other kind of extracurricular activity?
Well, you're going to have to be at maximum readiness.
Okay.
Are they doing math?
And so, in other words, the answer is they're not going to be maximally ready. So, in other words, readiness is affected.
So you're a
fucking retard.
And just the selective service in and of itself, just in the military as the total fighting force.
You are so boring, memes.
For what purpose?
Oh, I'm just curious.
Why are you going?
I'm not saying we should. I'm asking.
That's a fucking broken record.
The only time you would want to have women in a combat role is in the defense, and I've just said that. But if you're in a defensive type of an engagement, all right, then you're already past the point of calling up everybody, anyone. You're just grabbing people off the freaking street and you're handing them a rifle and say, "Congratulations, you're in the military now. Go sit over there and protect that area."
Sounds like a militia that's not well regulated.
It's not a.
No, that's called World War I and World War II. That's World War I.
Is it a bad thing to have women trained in like skills related to the military?
Well, if you go into the military as a woman, even if you're in a support role or whatever, you will still end up with arms training. You'll still have.
Wait a minute, though. MC, doesn't it work in the military or the Israeli Defense Force? Don't they have a lot of women soldiers?
Nope. They don't mix them.
They do have military soldiers, but they do not have mixed units.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
They don't.
The women and the men live in the same.
Go ahead.
The women and men live in the same camps, but they, like they are literally this segregation. They have their own showers, they have their own mess hall, that kind of thing, and it's exactly what we had in World War II.
Well, everyone uses the same mess hall, but I mean that's that's because you only have one mess hall generally on a camp, maybe two, depending upon how large the camp is. But the thing is they're going to have separate barracks. All right, they're going to have separate
bathrooms.
Oh yes, obviously bathrooms, etc. Right, when you have mixed units, all right, readiness drops. Readiness drops for a variety of reasons. And when you end up in a combat environment, all right, women in a combat role, all right, when they're in the defensive perimeters and things like that, they're just as effective as a man. If, however, they are part of a combat unit that's expected to engage in offensive combat operations, they suck in comparison to their male counterparts. A lot of that has to do with the physical nature of an offensive operation where you're in movement, where you're carrying heavy equipment, where you're moving.
You see, women were really good with the RAF. They were doing all of the monitoring of logistics and the mapping of the radar signatures coming back and like pushing all them little things about on sticks. They were doing all the munition stuff. They were doing supply, admin, but not only that. I mean, look at Bletchley Park. Massively involved in decoding.
MC, are you by any chance implying that women are weaker than men?
Physically, yes. Next question. And no, I'm not implying it per se. I'm actually outright saying it.
On average.
Oh God, I'm just giving you hell.
Means you are a fucking moron, right? Well, if you train a man and a woman of the same size, right? I mean, like height.
Did you just call me a moron?
No, he said
I called means a moron.
Oh.
Stop thinking everything's about you. The world does not revolve around you, Sharafi.
My phone cut out, and all I heard was a fucking moron.
I'll give you a quick anecdote on this to explain it.
No. I mean, by the time you've gone through, if they hadn't have fucked up, like changed all of the criteria for women, make it easier for women to get in. If the criteria was back to the original requirements, then no woman would ever pass it. That's the reason that they ended up dropping it. And fuck G.I. Jane, okay? Because I know that's going to be the first piece of shit out of your mouth.
I'm not arguing any of that at all. All I know is back in the day, my dad told me about
a horrible movie. G.I. Joe was way better.
Well, here's the thing. A gal applied to a floor installing company. She applied. She was turned down. She said it was because of that she was a gal. She sued. She won. They gave her the job.
Yeah.
First day on the job, they asked her to move a 300-pound roll of carpet, and then she left the job and never worked there again. I was told that story, and I can believe that story. However, in my more recent years, I did also have an experience with a flooring company. This gentleman's daughter worked for the flooring company. This was the gal that you could see picking up the 300-pound roll of carpet and moving it. Again, you can never model the extraordinary.
No, what I'm saying is that if you've got people, you can. It doesn't matter about modeling it.
They're going to weigh the woman at the thing, and they're going to actually take a look at and make her do a strength test ahead of time to have her apply for selective service.
No,
and
the
thing
is
that for dudes.
No,
don't do it at all. Once you're in there, right? And I'm telling you, if you get a guy who's a certain height, and build, like a woman of the same equivalent height and build, they will never be equal once they've gone through basic training. They won't, because the man's muscle mass
builds muscles twice as fast as women.
Exactly. So she's never going to be she is never going to have the strength coming out of basic training that he gets out of it. It's just reality, mate.
Well,
it's called biology.
Yes.
Well, a couple things. First,
strengths.
If I make a Redeye drinking game, I think you should drink every time Cabby calls memes a moron. That being said,
we die from alcohol poisoning.
Well, I'm sorry, but he keeps demonstrating it. I don't understand why he wants to demean himself. I think he's into some kind of weird psychological S&M.
So it sounds like a lot of unnecessary paperwork.
It's not just paperwork.
Well,
Fuck's sake, you obnoxious cunt.
Okay, memes. Here's a question. Memes. Here's a question. Are you okay with men who transition into women being able to fight other women in MMA and stuff like that? Is that a good idea?
It does not go well.
Well, that's pretty much what they're talking about. If you're going to compare a man to a woman in the military, it's the same thing as in MMA.
Why would you differentiate?
I'm fine with it.
You're all married now.
This is why you're a fucking moron.
One's a sanctioned sport, the other's fighting for your country. This is the reason that you. I mean, if I believed that you actually believed in any of the shit that you spout, I would be finding ways of getting you sectioned.
Sectioned? How are you sectioned?
Wait, is that committed?
Yeah.
That happened to my cousins.
Yeah. Well, maybe it runs in the family.
Oh,
maybe someone needs to check it out. Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, you go back far enough. There may be a
community outreach
mass murderer there, but
you know what Cabbage's real objection with memes is that he doesn't like somebody from a vegetable thing. He's a vegetable phobe.
I like broccoli. No. Well, okay. So if we're saying that this is something that just seems like silly,
no.
really shouldn't necessarily be implemented.
Don't say that we are saying this, because you're not saying jack shit that we're saying. So don't say we're saying something when you're saying absolute nonsense. We've already said what we're saying, you dickhead.
That women are weaker than men, plain and simple.
So you're saying that, okay.
So we're saying what we've actually
articulating, Cabbage, so not to Kathy Newman you, is,
Christ. It's like, it's okay. I swear to God, you're a broken record.
It doesn't necessarily seem to make sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
Wait, signing up for the selective service for gals? I mean,
no. That having women sign up for selective counterproductive to the national security. So why would you do it?
The more soldiers you have, the better.
For gender equality?
No, that is not true. The idea that the more soldiers make you a better military has been the philosophy of many freaking nations, which got their asses kicked, especially the Russians during World War II and World War I.
Didn't they only have like one gun per 3 people?
No, that's the Chinese. That was their attack in Korea.
Yeah,
pick up the gun. Remember, a sniper doesn't necessarily need muscle build.
That's pulling a trigger once they're in a defensive position. That is true, but getting to that position in an offensive type of an environment, they do need that muscle mass because they need to be able to travel.
It could be good to have mixed groups.
No, you don't need mixed groups. What you need is, if you're going to sit up there and create,
I'm saying that's why it might be a good idea.
Maximum, you just need maximum force.
But the only time that's going to apply, the only situation that would apply is only on the defense.
No, okay, fine. So we just stick women in all of the church, steeples and stuff. Great, and they can all be snipers in static positions when they get escorted there.
Well,
if they had to march like 40 miles or something with their sniper rifle, and,
so don't put them in
4
that
days,
position.
4 8 days. Yeah, but
putting them in that
that's the whole point.
Wait, wasn't the Queen a sniper?
No, doesn't the military need all sorts of things like logistics and drivers and all sorts of things?
That's how they handle it through contract maintenance, right? That's how they do it through contractors. Why then do they have to assign selective draft? It's not that you can't grab women and have them used in the logistical chain. They've done it in every single war. But for them to prep ahead of time, all right, to send them for training into combat type of style training, no, you don't need them for that.
Well, that's why it's a selective service.
Okay. The selective service is the draft, which means you're plussing up combat.
Yeah, you're saying it's compulsive. Compulsion is not selective. So
We haven't had an
make your
active
fucking
draft
mind
for a
up.
while.
If you have the point where you need to draft women into the military, then
You're already in
everyone's going to be,
trouble.
they're grabbing everybody off the street anyway. If you're walking down the street, guess what? Congratulations! Here's your rifle. There's your position. Go defend your city.
That's why it's a selective service.
No, it's not, and this is why you're a fucking moron. Take another
No,
drink,
I'm
everyone.
arguing that just because it sounds kind of silly. But okay, if it seems like such a silly idea, but if we live in a world where we really want to just have full gender parity, it's like
There's no such
and nobody
thing.
does. Only
wants to
fucking
live in
idiots
that
like
world?
you.
Who wants to live in
Only
a world where
fucking
you have
morons
full,
with this
where you have
delusional
full gender parity
social
when you
justice
never have full
bullshit,
gender parity?
neoliberal bollocks.
Jensen, I'm beginning to believe we've reached
Honestly,
the end of the conversation.
I think you're right, sir. That's why I've not bothered butting in. In all fairness, the concept of
Fucking
putting-
liberal, neoliberal, hard nonsense.
Go ahead, Jensen.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's not a problem, mate. Just, basically,
Well,
the idea of
just-
putting women in the military is not unreasonable, but they shouldn't be frontline troops. And I'll give
That I
you
can agree with.
one major reason. It is actually genetically programmed into men, whether they like it or not, to automatically
defend them.
want to defend women,
Yep.
at which point they're more concerned about the women in their troop than the actual troop itself and doing their job, which means they're not doing the optimum efficiency at what they should be bloody well doing, and that is stupid. You want your
Yes,
people
that's actually something I pity in men. You shouldn't have to be programmed like that.
We are. What do you mean you shouldn't have to be? Welcome to life.
No.
Yeah.
Evolution.
And
Called evolution.
There's
Well, we
nothing
have
you can do.
evolution, and that's a trait we should actually drop.
no, it's not. Because you're
yeah, good
it's
luck.
also one of the traits that also keeps us competitive and keeps us advancing. It's one of the reasons why we advance as well. It's all a package deal.
You're basically giving any award for advancement on the female gender. Oh,
No,
come on.
it's a
Men
matter
can do
of-
good too.
It has nothing to do with this. I'm talking about from a societal standpoint.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, look. If you want your entire country defended by, I tell you what, guys, then just don't. I mean,
Well, let me put it to you.
they should lobby to not be in it.
The military goes with your way of doing things. A group of quote unquote humans attempt to do what you're saying there, Al. All right, let's assume that they attempt to do that. What will happen, and I guarantee this will happen, is they will come into conflict with another group of humans that don't have that philosophy, and the other group of humans will conquer them.
Yes.
And they will go back to where it is. It's not a matter. It's a matter of survival from a societal standpoint. All right, not necessarily from a
So
species.
maybe in a societal standpoint, but not necessarily an army standpoint.
Well,
It's counter-efficient.
Well, the army represents
is
the
not more
society.
efficient to have mixed units. It isn't.
Well, that's why we should invest in Boston Dynamics.
Yeah,
Memes.
yes.
Oh,
You see,
God,
there's
that's-
no helping him.
What?
There's no helping him.
Oh, they have the robot. Well, here's the thing. No, if we're talking
No, I
about
know what they are.
literally try to completely alter how folks are, you're probably talking thousands of years. Like robots are like here.
Okay, and what can a robot do, and what can't a robot do?
It's a great question.
Robots are not. We're no closer. We're not. A lot of these idiots think that
We
we're
don't
close
have
to
any
AI.
advanced AI. We don't
All right,
have that.
We're not close to AI. We're not going to be close to AI anytime soon.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
well,
hook up
we
a
do
human
have-
to it.
I don't
Well,
want
no,
AI.
no,
The
no.
Google AI experiment created a freaking Nazi. Why would I want
Well,
AI?
You're not,
No,
we're
we
not
do
gonna
have.
AI.
We do have limited
you want
AI
AI?
in
Put
certain
Rudy in
systems.
charge.
Hello.
We have
Hello?
systems that will adapt. That's all we have. That is not even close to artificial
I'm gonna have to
intelligence.
boost my microphone again.
It's not close to artificial intelligence. Just because we got adaptive
Oh, no.
programs doesn't mean
Yeah.
that we're close to AI. We're not close to AI. We're not even
come on.
to the idea of animal level intelligence in computer systems.
Oh no, we're around about something like
we're not.
Well, no, back in the 80s, it was claimed. I mean, it was around about the same thing as a cockroach.
No, we don't.
That was in the 80s.
We're not even close to
a cockroach is an insect, not an animal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So by now, we're probably up to something maybe like a rat or maybe a gerbil.
We're not even close.
Yeah,
right. Near
back then, we thought we would have flying cars by now.
Well, exactly. I want my fucking jetpack.
My goodness.
Where's
one landed on Pennsylvania Avenue, and that's why we don't have flying cars.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Amazon's legal case is when all those drones start dropping out the sky carrying people's pots and pans onto people's heads.
That would actually be a funny sight. I'll have to admit, that would be a funny sight.
No, dude, at this point, just get your drone Uber. You would literally be like Mary Poppins.
Well, they're already talking about it. Yeah, and like I said, the minute one of them goes wrong, I mean, just look at the court case. That's one company out of business overnight.
I don't think that you're going to see anything like that. We're not as close to AI as everyone seems to want us to believe.
Well, yeah, but MC, it does depend on what you classify as AI, right? Now, if you're looking at neural networking, genetic algorithms, having... I mean, they are fairly. I mean, they're very limited in terms of very specific purposes.
In respect,
in terms of autonomy.
That.
No autonomy. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're talking autonomy, no, but you can still, AI systems are still in place and utilized at the moment. I mean, they're in quite a few things.
MC, are you referring to more like an autonomous fighting robot that could actually outperform a human? I wouldn't say no. No, I would still take a Delta Force or SEAL Team 6.
It's not even a Delta Force or SEAL Team 6. You're not going to get anything that's going to work like a freaking infantry soldier. You're not going to get anything that's going to work like anything
We are nowhere close a robot that could do effective evaluations in combat.
Right. Well, and that's just when you have unlimited power. That's when you have unlimited electrical power with computer systems, let alone mobile power.
All right, nobody has an EMP.
We're nowhere near it.
Yeah, we're not even close. And everyone who keeps worrying about it, talking about some dystopian future where the robots are going to take over and we're going to be fighting the robots, like freaking Tim Pool came up with. Oh, that at least is the good dystopian future, I guess, when humanity is getting wiped out by robots and their skulls that are getting driven over. All right, he thinks because that'll be exciting, huh?
I thought that was a game he was playing, and MC. I must also remind you, there's a primetime news anchor that also suggested a plane disappeared into a black hole.
Yeah, and he's on CNN. What a surprise!
Look, all you need to do if there was an army coming to
today, Tim Pool put out a video, all right, where he talks about the different dystopian futures that we're headed toward. And the one he goes, if we're going to head for a dystopian future, I'd like to be in utopia, but we know that isn't going to happen. If it's the dystopia, at least it'll be the exciting one where we're fighting the robots. He's insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, but the thing is, MC.
You've been hanging out with Tim Pool. You're rubbing off on him somehow.
Right? MC, if you had this, these robots coming at you, if you were a target, these robots were coming towards your unit or whatever, all you have to do is find out where the nearest transformer is and short the fucker out once it gets within range.
I mean, there are ways to disrupt the electrical outlets, yes. What's more is that they'd be susceptible to hacking and all sorts of things. I mean, the idea is that we're even close to something like that. We're nowhere near it, folks. We're nowhere near AI. We're nowhere near freaking autonomous freaking robots or autonomous things actually working on things. Well, yes, robots are good at pre-programmed things. What was that?
You might as well go back to talking about guns, right?
Well, the UAVs are out there, though, MC, and they can land, take off, land. They can also make their own decisions about changing waypoints and
No, you can program them to change waypoints. They don't change waypoints on their own.
But they can make certain decisions. I mean,
they can respond to certain circumstances. They're not making decisions. They're on a logic tree that tells them to do X, Y, and Z.
No. It's not it's not serial computing. These are actually going through neural networks. So it's very different.
It's still a logic chain that's been developed for them. It's
an input and an output, but that's what your brain is: inputs and outputs, right?
It's still
an electrical signal.
It's still completely predictable about where it's going to end up, and it always will.
Well, no, because it depends on the inputs that it's getting as to how it responds. If it's getting two different inputs at one time and then another one.
And when it comes to sensors and things like that, you can fool the sensors, and it's never going to be able, even in those situations, all you have to do is fool the sensors into doing certain things, and you can fly the freaking drone and land it at your airport.
Yeah, but not even that. You can remotely hack a computer program or whatever, a drone, and anything like this. Or you can just use an EMP device and shut everything down.
That's what I was saying about shorting out a transformer.
You can harden systems to be resistant.
No, hey, MC, if you got these things close enough to a transformer.
Oh no, I said you could harden them. I didn't say you could. They're going to be 100% effective.
You'd fry them. That would give them. If you got them down to a substation, you short out a substation. That capacitor.
Battery, freaking, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to entrust our military entirely to bots at all.
We're not going to. I mean, anybody who thinks that's coming is just nonsense.
They're looking at using them for things like recon. I mean, like most of the, for going into areas where especially for urban warfare things.
They're making them as observation platforms. That's all they are, is advanced observation platforms. They're not actually doing recon. The recon is actually being done by the person operating.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like drones now. They're flying them.
It's more like the binoculars that are extended binoculars. They themselves are not making decisions or looking or know what they're looking at. Okay, they don't, and they're not going to anytime soon.
No one's claiming that. Is that, are they? I don't know. Maybe memes is.
Wait, what?
Memes wasn't even paying attention anymore.
Well, yeah, it went from women to robots. So, I don't know.
Well, okay, so we haven't changed. Okay, the topic continues.
Maddie, I think you'll agree with this point. Both can be heartless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually,
you're not going to get a lot of arguments with that, Owlie. I don't understand.
Yeah. No, I think it's deeper. It's soulless, not just heartless. All robots are ginger.
All robots are ginger? Is that the deal?
They're gingers wrapped up in aluminum.
Like dogs?
No.
So, I don't know. We could transition here a little bit to a different subject. I watched that Minds of Men documentary again last night, Cabby. The MK Ultra shit and all that. What do you think about that documentary? You said that you had it up on your channel before you got copyright struck for it, so I know you've seen it.
Yeah, well, I didn't just say it. I showed you the proof of it. Don't make out like it's a wild accusation.
No, you did show me the proof of it. Yeah. Anyway, I meant you've seen it. Yeah, what I meant to say is you've seen it. What do you think about it? God damn.
I just think that they're rehashing everything that's already been said. I mean, anyone who's gone through every conspiracy documentary and all the Alex Jones up and all of this, that, and the other, then pretty much it's a rework of old material that everyone pretty much knows about, who's even remotely interested in this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, MK Ultra. But MK Ultra, we know that was real. we know the CIA does all these things. We know all of the things that they put out. You know, I mean, even dragged out northwards again. You know.
Well, no, the only thing out of that documentary that I really didn't know about was the sensory deprivation and how even hardened soldiers couldn't stand it for more than 40 hours. They would like wig the fuck out, start sobbing like little schoolgirls, and go insane pretty much.
Yeah, and it got even worse when they gave them the LSD.
Yeah, exactly.
They did the same studies again. They did it. I mean, the 40 hours, that one that they mentioned, was without the LSD. That was just a normal person being deprived of sense. But then they, sick bastards, aren't they? They then decided, well, what happens if we get them high? And so they tried it again with high people. And that got kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. And also the doctor just lobotomizing people willy-nilly, you know, that way he can map the brain. That's kind of outrageous, right?
Oh, that Canadian fruitcake. Was that the Canadian guy?
Yeah, the best Canadian in the world, or what title did they give him?
It's quite astonishing what they managed to get away with back then.
Okay, and what's your point with all this?
Well, you haven't seen the documentary.
I did watch it. I'm still asking.
Did you? Okay.
The problem that I have with this is that all the frickin' conspiracy theories that surround it as a result.
My problem with it is the morality of it. I mean, they're torturing people here. They're like, and they're not even telling them half the time that they're being experimented upon.
First of all, that part of the documentary about what people knew or didn't know going into some of these experiments and how they were going to how they were developed. Right, a lot of that is flat out sensationalized. Yes, were there absolutely heinous things that did take place? Yeah. Okay, and okay, we understand that. Were some of these people never held accountable? Yeah, that's all true as well. So what? What does that have to do with today?
Well, because if you don't kind of fix the problem, then there's an opportunity for people to do it again, right?
Okay,
if you don't change the laws to prevent it.
You can change the laws. The laws were already in there. They were breaking the laws to begin with.
Well, true. Yeah.
So that's very true. So we're back to the same comment, right? Yeah. I'm not trying to justify any of this. I'm just like, okay, yeah, this was a program. Was it a bad program run by the CIA? Yeah. All right. Is it overblown and sensationalized in this documentary? Yes, it is. Were there people that took things way too far? Yeah, that did happen. Were they looking at all the different ways that people could get broken? Yeah, they were looking at that specifically because they were worried that was what happened during the Korean conflict, which is one of the reasons why they came up with other means to try and prevent the breaking down of soldiers during torturous events.
Well, the people who made it used to work for Alex Jones, didn't they?
Yes, they actually did.
Which is ironic that I find that they end up giving me a fucking copyright strike rather than just get in touch with me and say, "Would you mind taking it down?" You know. So yeah, true.
I'm surprised they didn't ask you to monetize it more than anything else. I mean, because you are the only thing you're really doing is spreading their stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem on that end would be you put that up how long ago? They just premiered it yesterday, or
it was about 8 weeks. Yeah, it was about 8 weeks ago.
Well, so you stole their documentary and released it early.
I mean,
I didn't steal it.
It was an older documentary. They're just re-releasing it.
Are you sure? Because I've been watching their channel, and in some of their shorter videos, they were saying they were working on this thing for the last 3 years.
Oh yeah.
If the stuff that they were showing was stuff that's been been talked about in other documentaries and everything else, it's nothing new.
Oh, that's true. No, they have touched on it in the their general channel, but the actual full documentary that wasn't compiled until I think it was about 3 months ago. something like that.
Okay, well, I can
but
believe that,
they let out snippets.
Yeah, but there's nothing. But there's
teasers.
There's nothing earth-shattering. There's nothing about it really. Okay,
No, like I said,
honestly,
it's a rehash. The
problem I have with it is people think that, oh, well, look at what the CIA can do to you, and look at what they're running in these programs. If these programs were as successful as these conspiracy theorists claim, then they wouldn't even know about it. They'd be living in the MK Ultra world where you're under total mind control, and you'd never learn that you were under total mind control.
Unless that's part of their plan.
Yeah, but come on, we
wouldn't know part of their plan.
Yeah, but it's all about whistleblowers, mate. We wouldn't know about aliens under Denver Airport if it wasn't for whistleblowers.
It's about conspiracy theories and lunatics. So that's all it is.
I was just doing my
trying to do some of this stuff. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Jensen. I interrupted. Jensen.
Sorry, I was just doing my tinfoil hat thing there. I had to join in.
Well, tinfoil hat, very bad idea. All you're going to do is make your head into a better receiver and antenna. Unless you ground it.
People, we've kept that. I mean, it's been kept secret. Sure.
Okay, everything we know about MK Ultra is due to the Freedom of Information Act, right? What is there that they already scrubbed that we don't know about? I mean, if you don't think the CIA is still conducting experiments, I think you're out of your damn mind.
No, of course they are.
Well, unless you have one, unless you know where it's taking place, unless you can show it to me. The one thing that people forget about, especially when you're talking about Americans, is how the hell would an MK Ultra program ever come to the light of day anyway? Because we yap. Okay, a broad-scale program such as that is going to get yapped about.
Come on, now that's a bullshit argument.
No, I mean, you had argument.
It is. You had the whole
if they are so good at keeping secrets, then explain to me why you even know about a nuclear weapon. You wouldn't.
Well, no, but then we knew about the nuclear weapon because you fucking dropped one. That's the one people learned about it.
You knew about the nuclear weapons.
Nobody knew about it beforehand. Nobody knew about it.
The Russians did not learn about the nuclear weapons because we told them.
Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, that was one of our scientists, the British one, actually. So sorry. It wasn't
just a scientist at the Yalta conference. We actually admitted to it. Yeah.
No, I mean, one of the guys who were actually there, at God, what was the place called?
Los Alamos.
Where they built Little Boy.
There were several.
Yeah, Los Alamos.
Right, that were given to
but
us.
There was a British scientist. Well, the place where they did the first atomic test. Oppenheimer and all
one
that.
of them.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. In the end, it was
gay British scientist at that.
I don't know if Fuchs was gay or not. He might have been.
Well, seems to get a lot of them. I mean,
but my point still stands.
Soy boys.
If you've got a broad-based program with a lot of moving parts like that, people are going to know about it. We can't keep secrets very long.
Nobody knew about the stealth fighter until it was unveiled in.
That's not true.
In Bosnia.
No,
really?
that's not true. If you bother to listen to freaking Carter, he outed the entire gosh dang program back in the 1980s.
Oh, well, he was an idiot then, wasn't he? I don't think that was probably meant to be in his speech.
What about the experiments they did on African Americans in regards to syphilis?
Okay, the Tuskegee experiments, which were also part of MK Ultra, by the way, all right,
which were
outed long before MK Ultra was outed. They knew about that less than 10 years after it happened.
Hell, nobody's even told us who killed JFK yet, MC. Don't give me this shit.
Yeah, but you see, that's the point, right? They don't...
Because the person who killed JFK was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, but you see, MC, this is the thing. You got the Tuskegee experiment, and that's one part of a central point. and you need to find multiple points that join back to the center and say, aha, now we can actually look at where it's coming from, and then you can get to the source.
Well, no,
so sometimes you might find something like the Tuskegee one, and like less than a decade, but it still takes you a hell of a lot longer to find out, like what the fuck was behind that.
Well,
once you find out about that, you then got
the full import of everybody that was involved in it. Yeah, it may take longer, but the actual events like that for any kind of long-term thing, that information is already out there. We talk all the damn time.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That part would be out, but MK Ultra didn't come out until a hell of a lot later.
Well, MK Ultra only came out in the 70s. What are you talking about? Late 60s, early 70s. That still was less than 15 years or later. And the TV experiments were like 58, 59.
15 years, yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. After 15 years, what the fuck can you do? Because it's like old news and nobody really bothers. It's like, well, it's happened exactly your attitude. Well, we do know it happened. What the fuck? What can you do? Well,
we're 50, 60 years later. Yeah. That's the world we live in today.
Yeah, but maybe Americans blab about everything, but if you blab about everything, then everything gets lost in the ether of the noise that is you blabbing. Just like when the CIA releases documents, they release a truckload of documents. That way you can't find what you're actually looking for.
All very true. All right? That's all very true. But as far as something along the lines now that you're claiming that similar type of experiments are happening today, okay, show me where.
What's the whole? He's just proposing the fact that if they have done it in the past, and certainly things have been exposed which are questionable, that there's an indication that, and why would they not be? If they got away with it before, why wouldn't they do it again?
Because
they got away with everything. Because like you said,
the question is now. Let's talk about specific about MK.
Why would they stop?
Well, I'll tell you why they would stop. Because at this point in time, they've got all the information from what drugs will do and what they won't do. Why would you care to carry it on when you don't know? When there's obviously no reason to go forward with it.
No, come
on. What do you mean
bullshit? Well, we've got much bigger technology now than back in the 1970s. I mean, now you've got molecular docking.
We have much better technology, but that doesn't change. That doesn't change biology, and that doesn't change chemistry.
Yeah,
and unless you come up with a specialized super chemical compound.
Okay, so why haven't we discovered every single flu virus, vaccine? Why haven't we found every single strain of anything?
The reason,
right? We should have done by now, right?
Because the flu vaccine, just like everything else, flu's mutate.
Right. But and the thing is that you also find that other chemical. I mean, what about treatments for heart disease, or because we still have plenty of things where we can find out ways that
but we also know what to look for. Damage. We also know what to expect and what to look for. All right, with the chemicals that we have, we sit up there and expound along those lines. And the same thing applies to this case. We already have an idea of what these chemicals will do within the brain. All right, so why would we continue to just come up with a chemical and go, let's see what this does, or let's see what that does, or let's secretly go upon this? The idea behind MK Ultra at the time is that you had a whole slew of new drugs that nobody knew what the effects were. There were people that were theorizing what the effects could be in these different combinations, and that's what was tested. They have those results now. So they have an idea.
All right. Yeah.
Of what could do
I mean, nobody's saying that they're going to be repeating. Nobody's saying that they're repeat the same experiments. Nobody's saying that they're going to repeat the same fucking experiments over again.
They don't need the broad.
They're doing different ones.
They don't know.
They're doing different ones.
The ones that they do now, I can tell you right now, all they're doing is reading the drug company's results. They don't need to do them anymore.
Okay,
they can watch and estimate. They're not out there with scientists on their own coming up with these chemicals in a broad scale like MK Ultra was.
Okay.
I'm not saying,
you don't. Yeah, but like you said, you don't know. You don't know. You can't know.
No, I'm
you
saying
said yourself. We can't know.
Yes. What are you talking about? I didn't say.
No, we can't know. Well, we can't know, right?
What do you mean you can't know? Where the hell did you come up with that? You just pulled that out of your ass, Cabbage.
No, because if it's going to be a secret, operation, it only becomes
operation,
right? But we won't know about it till it becomes discovered.
As large as MK Ultra was, okay. If it was going on
one isn't
on
being
a large
made.
scale, like you're talking about, like MK Ultra was a large scale program. There were a lot of moving parts. Okay, you're not going to see an operation on that scale because people will talk. Whenever there's an operation on that large a scale, it gets outed.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've all
so
been
maybe
on
you don't do it on the same scale. Okay, you don't do it on the same scale, but you have compartmentalization, and then you centralize it, which is exactly
what
like
compartmentalization. You can't centralize things, Cabbage.
Well, you can because you draw the information from separate, totally disconnected elements. And then you can then set up another one, which you provide the information from the previous
broad base scale that it gets outed. I just said that.
No.
And it's been proven again and again and again.
Okay, right.
Hey, no.
Okay,
no, hey, Cabby, wait a second. I gotta respond to the chat here, or read it off at least. Carl says MK Ultra was not just drugs; it went much further than that. He follows that up with, Jesus Christ, the U.S. government was still exposing kids to chemicals to test long-term effects well into 2008. So yeah, he seems to think that the program's continued on.
Yeah, but I'd like to take it in a slightly different tack, if I may. Okay, so let's take for granted that all the kind of MK Ultra and the drug aspects, they're not doing those anymore. How about nanotechs? Testing those sort of things. How about testing, brain implants? Neural interfaces. I mean, there are plenty of different technologies that they could abuse. If they got the mindset to do that shit to people back in the 50s, why do you think that mindset's changed now?
We're not talking about the mindset. I'm not talking about the mindset at all. In fact, that's my whole point, actually.
Well, exactly. But if they're not doing it now, there must have been a change in mindset or principle.
No, because
if there hasn't been a change in that, then they do the same shit, but with modern technology.
It's a change in the overall knowledge of how effective these things can be. All right. One of the things that you have to look at what you're talking about with technology. If you don't shut up and you don't let me finish, you'll never get to your point. If you don't sit up there and take a look at nanotech, where is nanotech being applied right now? It's being applied all over in a lot of medical fields where they're trying to recreate people's abilities to use limbs and cybernetics and so forth. All right, cybernetic eyes, for example.
Yeah, that's what corporations are doing.
That's not just.
Doesn't mean that's what the government's
doing. Once again, Cabbage, you interrupt before you even go any further because it isn't just corporations. A lot of the funding comes straight from the government. Yeah. Now, whenever the government funds anything, all of that data, yes, is available to the government. Are there collection agencies that are analyzing all that data, how it could be used somewhere in the CIA? Yeah. Would you say that's a CIA experiment, though?
No, but what they do with that data on their own, yes, I would. And that's how you end up with things like MK Ultra.
So you're saying that these people are being experimented against their will by the CIA?
This is such bullshit, right? Because the people who started fucking around with MK Ultra didn't invent the shit themselves. They found it from other sources. No, some of it they did.
LSD was created by the government. Back then, most of that experimentation was done by the government, by people in government labs.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If you especially look at the documentary that kicked off this argument, they were saying a lot of it was done by the universities and a lot of it was also done in hospitals, especially the lobotomization and the mapping of the brain and the controlling people's emotions through electronic impulses, which is something we haven't even touched on yet.
By the CIA, they were experiments being done by those groups.
If you can change somebody's whole entire mood and personality via electronic stimuli, what happens when 5G rolls out and it creates an electronic stimuli?
If they have that capability, why wouldn't they have already used it and you would never know about the program?
Maybe they're waiting for a key point.
Or maybe because it isn't possible to do it.
Well, maybe maybes are always maybes, right? I mean, anyone can have a maybe, and that's the whole point. We don't have a fucking clue what's really going on. But one thing we do know is the degeneracy of these certain groups within government who are willing to utilize
they're not just, of course they're going to utilize the technology. They're going to sit up there and see how the technology is utilized.
Yes, but I'm saying in nefarious ways. You know what I mean.
But the idea that they themselves are directing the experimentation isn't accurate. Okay. The idea that whether or not they can utilize that information and will attempt to utilize that information in the future, the government will do that, but it's not from a secret freaking program like that. With a like MK Ultra, where they were going out on at their own behest in order to create these kinds of programs. The reason is these large-scale programs are easily outed. There's always some jackass that's going to say something to the wrong person. The more people you ever involve with this kind of stuff, the more people learn. Now, when you start talking about data being gathered and data being utilized, that's something else. But it's not the same thing.
I'd say it actually makes it easier because it gives you the ability to defer it off, because if it's research being that you're pooling research from all of these different universities and corporate data sets, and you can then sit and you don't need a massive organization then, and you can fuck around with things to your heart's content with a relatively small.
Then you're not actually doing the experiments on people.
Well, no, that's where you would do them, because that's the place where you would be, fucking around with things like putting implants into people and seeing what happens.
No, because why would you be doing that if you're getting the information on what that's going to?
Because they're not looking at it the way you want to apply it. That's the point, because they're not doing the research in the way that they're giving you information that, if you stimulate they're giving you. No, hang on, you just said earlier on for me to shut up because I can't answer you. Right, if they know that there are certain parts of the brain that can be stimulated by electromagnetics, right, or by microwaves, and so the people who are doing that research are doing it for perfectly, banal reasons, just, totally neutral. But a guy sits there and goes, well, actually, you know what we could do with this, and someone says, oh, here's a budget, go see what you can do, and that's how they start. That's how it happened. It's not the fact that the research that was originally being done was intended to do what the government or the CIA ends up utilizing it for.
But they're not being
take that knowledge and they apply it in a corrupt way.
And they're not being directed in that way.
Well, who knows? Like you said, we'll never know, right? Until the 40-year rule act.
It's not even 40 years. You guys act like MK Ultra was recent, a recent event.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, that's when the real information came out to validate. It was when they had to release the document. So it's like, aha, we weren't just fucking crazy.
In the 1970s, in 1973.
Yeah, well, the data got released officially. Yeah, but it only got validated when the government officially released the paperwork.
The government released the paperwork on the Freedom of Information Act in 1973.
Oh, well, that was foolish.
What do you mean it was foolish? Now, granted, if you remember in that documentary, one of the things they said about it is a lot of the data got lost because he knew that the Freedom of Information Act was going to be passed. So Nixon ordered a lot of those documents destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true. But that's the point, right? I mean, and especially now with data encryption, with the level of things that can be done now. And as I say, if you're just working with a relatively small team and pulling in all of this knowledge which is being developed out in the private sector, and you want to use it for nefarious, if you want to use it, if you want to use it for nefarious purposes, then it will be.
If you're worried about people being abused, the ability to isolate groups of people and then experiment on them the way they were doing it in the Tuskegee experiments, well, those things can still happen, and I'm not going to deny that it isn't a possibility. All right, it will get outed relatively quickly, just like it did with the Tuskegee experiment.
I don't know. If you use homeless people, maybe rarely. It depends. I mean, especially if you've got yeah, but you've also got the what do you call it? The child support agency or whatever. You've got loads of kids which are being taken off their parents. You've got homeless people. You got people who, like orphans. I mean, they were a common usage, in a lot of experiments with orphans. Nobody else is ever going to know about them or miss them. So the idea that there is a fairly significant pool of available resource that you could pull from. Sorry, it's naive.
Wait, Cabby, did you guys find a job for the illegal immigrants?
I did. Yes. Damn it. Still end up paying the bastard.
All right, you got me. I've been trying to protect my source for a while now.
That's why we got to import them. There's a big program on the go.
Now you know why the EU wants more immigrants in the country.
Yeah, that's it. They got some experiments to do.
Okay, what's the question with all this anyway?
Huh?
Well, I guess we're done with that question. You got something else, Mad Dodge?
Well, he said it was about the documentary, and is
there anything left on the documentary? Sure.
What then?
What do you have, Amelie?
Well, I was kind of interested on talking more about guns, really.
Yay!
Okay.
Especially seeing as how my father was a hunter, my mother runs a shooting range together with her boyfriend, and my father just got a girlfriend, actually, who used to be an Air Force consultant over here at the military Air Force base.
Okay. So what do you want to? What are you? Are you pro-gun, anti-gun? What are you?
Pro-gun.
Pro-gun. So what do you think about the new news that the
gun control thingy? I hate it.
Where they're going to sit up there and ban bump stocks. They're going to say that that's the same as a machine gun.
Well, limiting the models of guns might be a wise idea, but it needs to be regulated carefully.
But if somebody wanted an automatic weapon anyway, it doesn't take a great deal of skill to file off the trigger mechanism, or what are those things called? The Hellfires, the little clicker thing. I mean, there are plenty of other ways that you can...
Look at it. At what sort of situation would you need a type of gun like that? Invasion. That's the only way you would actually need that type of gun. Now, do you think the American states would be invaded like that?
I don't know. Ask me in a few months with what happens in Tijuana.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say why would it be unfair for Americans to have that when it's compulsory in Sweden?
Well,
every person's got Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland. You've got automatic weapon in every house.
Yes. They actually do have automatic weapons in pretty much every household in Switzerland, yes.
They do.
Which is pretty foolish in my opinion.
By law. They get issued with them by the government. Because they are expected to defend the country. Yeah, they also have compulsory, service.
Well, if it's a freebie given by the government, kudos to them. But personally, I do not see a point in having fully automatic weapons unless in an invasion-type crisis, where they could store these type of guns in a shelter, for example, for emergencies.
Oh, you just come on here to replace memes?
No. You know me
Sorry,
better than that, Gabby.
That's quite the insult to lay on somebody that just.
I know, but
Cabby, you've said it yourself before that you actually like me. You know I'm not the new memes.
I know.
No one can hold memes.
No,
It's not in Cabby's heart.
Let's just pray that God broke that mold.
Good. I was about to say, just want to point out, Mad Dodge has disappeared and he comes back. Perfect timing.
Okay, so we have to start talking about it now.
How about Cannibal
Secret
Space?
again.
I think Quinn would love that topic.
The one thing that was announced with gun control today was the fact that they were going to ban bump stocks. The firearms and control, the ATF was going to sit there and ban bump stocks, which is to me an absolute nonsense, because what the hell's a bump stock? You're going to run into a problem with any kind of a system that actually doesn't pull it and make it full auto. The reality is I agree with you, Cabbage. There's no reason that they should have banned automatic weapons. Automatic weapons should be allowed and continue to be allowed, because, quite frankly, at this point in time, there are plenty of nations that actually allow for people to have automatic style weapons. The problems that we have are not because weapons are available. The problems we have are because people are irresponsible.
I think
you're a bunch of fucking psychos.
I think there should be a psych evaluation before you are granted a license for having a gun in your home.
I don't think you should be.
After that fact, you should be able
license.
to whatever you want.
I don't think the government should be involved at all in determining who should have a license or not have a license. Because as soon as you do that, then they're going to sit up there and if they play the pick and choose game, it wouldn't surprise me at all if what happens which is one of the things that was happening in New York, which was, well, we decide you don't need to have a concealed carry permit. Why? Well, we just don't like the fact that who you are. Now we're going to sit up there and go through your social media to determine whether or not we're going to look at this. And this is one of their proposals that they're proposing right now, where they're going to sit there and determine, okay, well, you're a conservative. You don't get a concealed carry because you're obviously a conservative.
An MC.
That's idiotic.
They can do it based on medication too, right? I mean, if you ever taken any particular types of medication, then, well, if you're on some, antidepressant drug, then you're not allowed to have a gun anymore.
Well, that would actually be a good suggestion.
Well, once again, they're allowing.
There should be if they had instated such a thing.
Why? Because the person's already.
If they were to instate such a thing, there should also be you cannot go further back during the logs for 5 years. So if it's been more than 5 years since you had to use the medication, then you're good.
Well, no.
Once they ban you, how do you clear yourself to be off the ban?
Yeah, I mean, and what kind of bureaucracy are you going to create? I mean, what level of bureaucracy do you want? How many more thousands of people do you need in government to carry out all these additional checks?
Not to mention, isn't it? I don't see psychiatrists necessarily fucking curing anybody, and it's actually contradictory to them to cure somebody. I mean, how much money do they make every time you see somebody?
Yeah.
Now, can you use psychiatry? Look, there are 1,000,001 ways that they can deny you the right to bear arms. The only time I'd say that somebody's right to bear arms might. Well, if somebody's actually committed a firearms offence, held up a 7-Eleven at gunpoint, or bank robber or whatever. I mean, if somebody's committed a firearms.
I'd like to comment on the psychiatrist thing first, though.
Hey guys, unfortunately,
I've seen from the States.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Well,
okay, see you around, MC.
The nanobots have arrived.
Kevin, can I speak?
Yes. Just making a joke. Never mind.
Well, as I was saying, from what I've seen from the States, psychiatrists over there more push medication on you than anything else. They are pro medicine, pro everything that will make you spend money, and that's a bad habit.
Yeah, you know, it's really weird. We don't get that over here.
Yeah, not over here.
We don't
either.
see. Well, we don't get medical advertisements at all. I mean, apart from maybe, you know, something for diarrhea or headaches or something.
Yeah.
But we don't get people trying to constantly plug us with
you would have to argue with a doctor for several years before you even get medication for jet lag. That's something, right?
Yeah, you have an awful lot more over-the-counter drugs than we do over here.
Well, I just, once again, it's kind of like the pharmaceutical companies. Isn't it better if you have to keep taking their pills than if their pills actually cure you?
Well, usually they give you one pill and that doesn't quite work. So they have to then put you on a second pill, which will counter some of the side effects of the first pill. And then it just ends up in this fucking escalation of pills. You know, trying to counteract the negative effects of the other ones. It's a joke. But again, if you're looking at it from a firearms thing in terms of ownership, that's one of the things that they would definitely utilize. Unless you've committed a crime with a firearm, I don't see why you should be denied the right to have any firearm that you want.
Even if
you have committed a crime. But the thing is, if you committed a crime with a firearm, the chances are you don't give a shit about the law.
Like a 7-year-old running around with a gun?
No. But then again,
first time I ever shot a gun, I was 8 years old. You're arguing that point with the wrong American.
Well, actually, that's true because I had a .77 177 and a 22 at that point in my life.
Were you the owner?
Yeah, see, there was a time when, well for some of us, there still is a time when parents actually teach their kids how to shoot.
Again, under your own ownership.
Oh no, that's
not.
thing,
what do you mean? You could buy child-sized shotguns. I mean,
it did.
This is America.
Yeah, you get like 410s and 12s. Sorry, you know, 8s. You get 4s and 8s. I mean, I started off on a 4. That was about what, 12 years old. Something like that. 12.
Well, yeah, and you don't just buy your 8-year-old kid a freaking 308 or nothing, but you take them out and teach them how to shoot.
Americans.
No. I mean, like when I was you got the .77, and that was a little pistol, and all of even the guns that I had, even up to the age of like 15. They were locked away, and if I wanted to get them, I had to go to my dad and ask him to take them out of the cupboard, because I couldn't do it. Yeah, I didn't have a key. So, and it would be under supervision. Make sure I wasn't pissing about. Except on Halloween, when we can go and shoot each other and throw bangers and rockets at each other and stuff.
Sometimes.
But that was only with their pistols. Well, yeah, no, I mean, nobody's throwing a bloody rocket launcher into a kid's hands in America at the age of 7.
No, you've got to wait till they're at least 10. I mean, come on. Let's
Yeah, you start them off with dynamite fishing first, you go out with a bow.
Yeah, use a car battery, mate.
Do you mean you don't do this? I thought that was the normal way of doing shit. Oh, I'm starting to think I wasn't brought up right.
What, you didn't figure that out when you decided to eat people for the first time?
You weren't brought up, you were dragged up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
let's go ahead and get to the nerd section of the show. Quinn, I made you watch In the Pale Moonlight, probably the best DS9 episode ever made. What do you think of it?
Oh, you're sucking the dick of Rageaholic now, aren't you?
Oh, fuck off, dude.
Yeah. You always goes on about that one.
In all fairness, I personally think that the Federation shouldn't even bloody exist. It's a bunch of useless idiots that would not really actually last 5 minutes in their own bloody universe. Simply put, they're incompetent, they're not willing to do what's necessary, and the only reason I have any respect for Cisco is the fact that he actually put on his big boy pants and actually got shit done.
Yeah, I mean, that space station is so ill defended. I mean, it would be absolutely smashed to shit by any of the, the law people that were around at the time. Not to mention, you don't know what the fuck is going to pop through that wormhole at any given time. It's all very. It's a really flawed kind of concept. And I'm sorry, but Ferengis as well. Fuck Ferengis.
Hey, don't mess with the House of Clark. All right, motherfucker.
They're like the fucking, the Jar Jar.
Hey, I got one thing to say. Jensen. It's a fake.
Oh, he did look pissed, didn't he?
I know, it's great. Do you think Cisco, or I don't even remember his real name, we'll just call him Cisco. Do you think he overacted when he was doing the monologues in that episode? Yeah. I don't. You do.
I do. And the reason is because, okay, maybe I'm wrong by using the term overacted, but they were pushing the whole Federation warm fifis too much. In my opinion.
What do you expect? Star Trek. It's fucking communists.
Socialist. Not
communist. Full-on communist. You've gone past socialism into.
Yeah, but why
you never go full retard.
why wouldn't communism work in a post-scarcity society? Where you have a replicator to make anything you want. You have the food.
Well, in which case, why would the Ferengis ever need their gold-pressed platinum? What would the fucking point of that?
They love their freaking money. I mean, there's a certain segment of our society that loves money.
Actually,
but I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, would it?
Mad, they don't love the gold-pressed platinum. They just say that to get it into bed.
It's a nonsense. It's either a post-scarcity society, so you don't need currency anymore. You just push a button and you get you order chicken soup and get minestrone because it's communism. Or I mean, it just doesn't gel. You can't have the two living side by side.
Agreed.
All Quark needs to do is buy one replicator and just make shitloads of replicators, and then all of a sudden, all the Ferengis have got themselves everything they need. And he'd become the richest.
Well, no, that's the point, mate. They can't actually replicate latinum. That's the one material that, for some strange reason, and I don't know why, so don't bother asking, but for whatever reason, latinum is the one material that cannot be replicated.
I'm saying that they could just, like Quark could be the person who went out and, bought a replicator, got someone to back engineer it, recreate it, get the blueprints, manufacture them, and sell them all back to the, the idiot fucking Ferengi. And he just takes all the gold pressed platinum that he can get for it while it's worth something, and then all of these, and then when the Ferengi have all got what they want because it's post-scarcity again, and everyone's getting chicken soup when they order minestrone. Then he ends up as the, he's got all of this gold pressed platinum. It doesn't mean shit because he can't do anything with it because everyone can get anything they want anyway, apart from gold pressed platinum. But then no one gives a shit about it because they don't need it anymore. It's a whole concept is flawed.
Well, to be fair, Gene Roddenberry had already passed away by the time they got into DS9, really. So they kind of took Gene's idea and they shifted it because half of the writers thought it was a dumb idea to not have currency in the first place. That's why they invented the Federation credits system, you know what I mean, as somewhat of an economy. But yeah, I wanted to talk more about that episode.
Actually, that's interesting, isn't it? Social credits. So that's actually like fucking right now, right? With your social profile, and you can, just how many times you can get the wrong suit. Depending on whether or not you've been good that day.
Have you had an issue with soup lately, dude? Because you're really bringing it up a lot. I just want to make that point.
No, it's just vending machines generally. The soup ones are the. I could have said chocolate.
Okay, that's fair. You understand. You brought up soup repeatedly. I was just making sure there wasn't a soup issue. That was all, sir.
No. I have no personal disdain for minestrone.
Okay. So you're not anti-minestrone. Good to know.
I am not. No, and I'm a positive. I'm a positive supporter of chicken. I'm an advocate of chicken.
I mean, to be fair, if we're going to take Star Trek apart, we're just going to do one thing. The Borg would have won. There is no way on any freaking hope that the Federation could have stopped them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, which version of the Borg? Wait a minute, though. There's 5 different versions of the Borg. You have when you first meet them during the Q episode. You have freaking the movie, First Contact. You have like 3 different iterations of them in Voyager, because Voyager, fuck off. I mean, which version of the Borg are you talking about?
Oh, come on now. At least it was a hot version of the Borg in Voyager.
Yep.
Come on, 7 of 9. Oh, wow. Hot.
To be honest, the moment you start bringing in auto-transforming nanites against an opponent, you have literally already won. The fact that they were using cubes was a bad idea anyway. They should have actually had them more of a gaseous cloud of nanites that take over, absorb, and, that would have been it. Earth would have been destroyed. The Federation would have fallen. The rest of the Alpha Quadrant would be dead pretty much very quickly after. Because after all it takes is one person with half a dozen of these nanites in their system, sent out, going to other planets, spreads the infection, jumps on ship, goes to another planet, rinse and repeat, and suddenly everything is Borg. Sorry, but
Exactly.
that is how it should have worked.
Yeah. The whole Star Trek lore is so flawed from top to bottom. It really is. And it's only there to promote, socialism and then communism. That's the way.
Yeah.
We're all going to work collectivism, and then socialism, then communism.
No, you're right, mate. I'm not disagreeing whatsoever. The Borg were, 1, the coolest race, and 2, the most ridiculous thing they could put in. It was just silly. There was nothing they could have done.
Yeah, but they did make some, interesting, just fun, entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
As long as you didn't sort of care too much about it within any kind of context. I mean, everyone likes to see a bit of, CGI space action, right?
Oh,
It's always good.
Totally agree with you there, man. I'm not actually disagreeing with it. I'm just pointing out the fact that it was actually ridiculous them bringing them in because they were too powerful. They were quite literally an indestructible race that they then had to absolutely nerf.
So was Q. Q was a stupid thing to bring in, really. I mean,
no,
you really shoot on that one.
No, Q was great. There's a reason why they brought Q in, but...
Good character, but I mean, within in the viability, just be like, oh well, fuck this. And the idea that he ends up wanting to, he's got a crush on Janeway. I mean, fuck it.
Well, no, but the thing is, when it comes to the Borg, why do they always send one fucking cube? Or like, did you see all the damage they do with one cube? Send 3, you win.
Yeah, exactly. And they seem to have plenty of them. So why don't these go, traveling twos?
You do know that the Borg cube that we actually first met was actually only a scout cube. It wasn't even one of their combat units, technically.
Are you sure about that? Because I thought the scout vessel was the sphere.
No, that's an interceptor.
Well, hang on a second, though. But they have the technology, and they can adapt their technology in the machine. So if they needed to, they could convert from being a scout into an offensive unit pretty quickly, right? Because they've got all the technology to do it. The nanotechs, all that kind of stuff. Right. So a scout could turn into so it was just configured that way at that time.
Well, I'm reading
reconfigured itself into.
I'm reading the chat here. Penoid's in the chat. What's up, Penoid? By the way, Ferengis were Jews. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Penoid. Appreciate that. Also, Klingons were Mongolians. Well, did they knock down your shitty wall? Just wondering.
Oh, you can't beat a good South Park reference.
Hoorah.
But Voyager did an interesting thing with the Borg when it introduced species, 3, whatever.
472.
Yeah, number.
Yeah, the interdimensional being that could fuck the Borg up. That was pretty good.
Yeah. They had to bring them in because the Borg were too powerful.
Well, also, though, it explains my question why they only send one cube, because in their own space, they had to deal with the interdimensional alien fuckers, right?
Yes. Here's something they don't explain, actually, even though it was brought up in a lot of the book and stuff like that lore. The reason the Romulan Empire was basically crapping all over the Federation and the Klingons and that lot is because officially, on the other side of their empire, they were actually running away from something, but they never actually detailed what it was. And that is really annoying because that would have been interesting.
You know, I was watching, it was either the Anti-Trekker or Lore Reloaded. I think it might have been Lore, actually. But he was talking about the Borg. What if Q isn't a godlike race? What if Q is an actual alien and they're using technology? Then what if the Borg fucking were able to assimilate a Q? Then you're fucked, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Completely, except for one problem. Unless you could infect all of the Q continuum in one go, you're screwed, because if so much as one survives, he does the old click of the fingers and the entire Borg race never exists.
Yes, good point. Yes. It would have
and you know which one?
Adoption.
You know which Q would still be alive? The Q that we know, because he would be fucking with Picard right at that moment.
He'd be doing Janeway in the fucking ready room.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing. Once you put in super duper powerful creatures, you're kind of screwed, because you then got to make even more powerful creatures to deal with them, and then even more. And you can see where this is going to go, can't you?
Who is more powerful?
Well, isn't that the problem that you've got? But isn't that the problem they got, like DC Comics? See, like Superman. I mean, effectively a god, right? I mean, and they still managed to resurrect the fucker, even when he's meant to have actually died.
Yeah, when Doomsday kills him. Yeah, but who do you guys think the Prophets are more powerful or the Q? Because they're kind of the same alien race, right?
You know, at this point, we're going to be crossing over to Stargate and talking about the ancients and stuff like that. So, are you really sure you want to go there with that conversation?
I'll go full on geek mode.
He's going to go full retard. You never go full retard.
Yeah. What's up, Penoid? How are you doing today, dude?
Man,
hey, Penoid.
what's up, my brothers? Yo, man, fucking. What about Calhoun's experiments with the rats? When you look at a Star Trek in a post-scarcity motherfucker
Oh yeah,
world,
the rats. Yeah.
you know, what I mean, where like they
Yeah.
put the rats
No,
in a
that was a good
post-scarcity
one.
world, and they all stopped. Like they all just stopped breeding. They stopped eating. They stopped, you know, what I mean, surviving and evolving. That's the same thing that'll happen to human
No,
beings
they
when we get to
turned
that point.
gay.
Yeah.
Remember, they turned gay and they went trans and they were all mincing around and yeah, they're just lethargy.
Well, you sure they didn't put stuff in the water to turn them gay?
Well, you know,
Well,
could be.
I think the thing with Star Trek though is the post-scarcity is really only on Earth and Vulcan. When you go out to the edge of Federation space, look at the Maquis. They're not living in a post-scarcity society at all.
Well, that's what I mean. So just give them replicator technology and say, well, there you go, guys. Knock yourselves out. Now you're post-scarcity. You don't have to piss anyone off.
Do you think there's a
We'll just
limit
get
on what
along.
the Isn't there a limit on what you can replicate though? There is some manufacturing still being done. They're not replicating starships; they're building them.
Yeah, but there's no growth.
But
You know
I'm
what
saying, send them the blueprints. You send them the blueprints and say, make these, and everything will be sweet.
And other than the Ferengi, there was like no capitalism in the entire fucking show.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all communism.
Yeah, that was a terrible
Pure
show.
communism.
Star Trek's horrible. You know, what I
It
mean,
is.
it's highly entertaining, but it's horrible. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not how human beings work. I don't understand why like nerds like communist stuff. Like I don't get it. Apparently, all nerds are communists.
Yeah, but they, we're also into, these dystopic futures, right? Well, like the end of the world and stuff. That's why that's how you end up with Silicon Valley, mate.
I got you. Like, that's why I liked X-Men. X-Men was like today plus mutants. That's all it really was. You know what I mean? Like they just, you know what I mean, put mutants in it. They had everything today, but they just added mutants. And I was like, yo, this is perfect. You know what I mean? Because it just matches with actual society. Whereas, you create like these SGIs and Stargates and fucking, Star Trek and Spaceballs and, well, not Spaceballs. Spaceballs was great. Fucking Spaceballs is eternally better than Star Wars. I'm gonna put that right now.
It's a damn sight it's funnier.
Just like Oasis was way better than the Beatles. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I still get a chuckle out of that stormtrooper who knocks his head on the door when he's going in on Star Wars. That always gives me a chuckle.
It's all nonsense. Hold on, I'll be back.
But most sci-fi is nonsense. But that's the whole point, though, right? I mean, you're just meant to lose yourself in the fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like DS9 the most out of any of the Star Trek series because of the Dominion War. I think that angle was really good.
Again, you're just quoting Rageaholic.
No, I'm not. No, DS9's always been my favorite out of all the Star Trek.
No, I know. I've heard you say it many times.
I like the way he puts that. It's sort of like as though he's hanging his head in his hands. It's many, many times.
When will it end, Mama?
Hey,
do any of you guys watch The Expanse?
I
did. I gave up with it.
Yeah, same. I only managed one episode. It just didn't. It didn't click with me for some reason.
No, I managed to get to 3 episodes, and then I definitely dismissed it. It's like, look, I've given it. 3 strikes, you're out. You know what I mean? What did you like about it, Mad?
I like that it's more realistic than Star Trek. They're not using like warp speed and shit, and it actually takes a while to get places. Also, the Mars colony is good. I also, to be fair though, I've listened to all the audiobooks that are out thus far, so I know a little bit more about it than just what the show portrayed.
Did anyone ever watch a show called what was it, Andromeda?
Sort of. I gave it a go, but I could not watch that show and not think Hercules. There was nothing I could do.
Was that the other? Was that the other Gene Roddenberry sci-fi, or is that Babylon? That's not Babylon 5.
No.
It's
You might be right with Andromeda. I'm not 100% certain. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Andromeda. It was a weird one. It was sort of like it was almost. It looked like it could be something, but didn't seem to kind of mesh. You know.
Yeah. Actually, I tell you one I did enjoy. I think it was called Excalibur. At this point, Mad's going to go crazy, but tough.
Excalibur.
Did anyone watch Excalibur?
No.
That was weird and good and weird. I know I've repeated myself, but honestly, it was one of those shows that really looked like it could get somewhere. Then, unfortunately, they killed it, which was a bit
That's
of a
like
shame.
Andromeda. Yeah, sort of. It looks like there's some potential here, but it never kind of made it. You know. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you give it a try. Like I said, I always do 3 strikes. I'm willing to. I even did that with fucking the bloody sexually transmitted disease Trek. I even gave that 3 fucking episodes, and when the silly bitch ends up in that, oh god, it was hideous. You know the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, 3 episodes, and it was like, nah, this is going nowhere. It's not even a comic.
Agreed.
It's more like the Dandy. It was like the Dandy or something.
well, I happen to think
Beano.
I think the Expanse will get better once it transitions over to Amazon. So, Sci-Fi canceled it, and Amazon bought the rights.
Well, yeah. The thing is, money doesn't make things better. It's about the writing. You know, special effects and all the rest. It's always about the writing.
Yeah, but Sci-Fi Channel
and the director.
Yeah, but the books have a lot more elements to them, and that were probably not suitable for basic cable. Put it that way. The Expanse is pretty much Game of Thrones in space.
Well, I mean, okay, so if they go for that kind of tack, then well, I mean, I'll get a lot of views, even if it's shit.
Okay, maybe I'll give Expanse another try. It could have just been I just wasn't in the mood at the time. The best I can really.
No, the original part. But if they remake it like, you know, a space version of Game of Thrones, it's just going to appeal to, you know, I mean, fucking memes will love it.
Metrosexual.
Well, no, the books are even described as Game of Thrones in space, and George R. R. Martin is one of the people that actually supported the books. You know, he didn't write it, but
yeah. But like I said, it's going to come down to the writing of the script. Yeah. You know, the books can be excellent, but if somebody fucks up the script, it's not going to help you. And also, again, you know, the kind of the production that goes on, you know, the direction. I mean, it's so fucking sick and tired of, you know, these constant cuts and, you know, just really poor quality production. Everything's got to be in slow-mo, or everything's got to be fast action cuts, and, you know, or this or that and the other. It just doesn't work. You actually get somebody who's got some style. Actually, if it's Game of Thrones in space, give it to Quentin Tarantino. Then he'd fucking make a go of it.
Hey, no, Tarantino has to write that Star Trek series that he wants to do.
No, give him that one. No, give him that. Well, I'm sure he can multitask. No, that sounds like ideal for him.
Fair play. Personally, I still think it's a shame what they did to Firefly, because Firefly had so much possibility, and then the actual film itself just killed it, which is such a shame.
Yeah, I watched the film, and that's the reason I never went back to watch the series. So the series is good, is it?
Yes, actually, seriously, mate. Forget the film. Not joking. Drink a large bottle of whiskey. Forget the film. Watch the series, and I think you'll actually enjoy it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try it. Yeah. I'll take your advice.
I think the best way to look at it is sci-fi cowboys. Really is.
I'm not really into cowboy bullshit.
Okay, you might not necessarily enjoy it then, but as I say, forget the film, watch the series, and then make a decision on it. It's just
Well, it's like Expanse as well. You see, that's sort of cowboyish, you know.
Yeah.
Go west, my son.
I'm not trying to offend the chat here, but Aunt Jack, fuck off. Game of Thrones is not a soap opera. Like, those are fighting words.
What happened to Penoid? He didn't even say goodbye.
Yeah, he said he'd be back, but I heard something in the background, probably one of his kids. So, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, busy. He did. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I don't want to misplace his character. Sound fellow. So, yes. Where were we? Yeah, Star Trek fucking sucks.
No, it doesn't.
Another thing that they need to get their asses on and sorting out is actually finish off Stargate Universe, because the way they left that was bollocks.
I agree, and it wasn't a bad show.
It's another one of those. It was getting there. It was starting to get that moment that says, you know what, I'm going to watch this. This is going somewhere. And then they ended it again. Another halfway decent series ruined.
Yeah, it's true. It was okay. I mean, I've got the whole lot.
Yes,
but
they
did conclude it, but they did it in a comic book.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they did wrap it up in a book, but that's a shitty way to do it. They were supposed to do a straight to TV movie, but that got scrapped when sci-fi came down on, economic times got bad for Sci-Fi Network.
Well, maybe it should. Maybe. Yeah. Well.
But have you seen that new Stargate Stargate Origins?
Yes, watched all of them. I'll admit it, I'm a bit of a Stargate freak. All right, take the piss now.
Okay, well, which is better, the Stargate movie, which is what Origins is more based off of, or SG-1, which went for 11 years and then spun off into Atlantis and SGU?
Okay. Well, first off, I personally didn't actually enjoy Atlantis as much as a lot of people did, but that's personal choice. The actual film itself, not bad, and the Origins is good if you connect it to the film more than if you connect it to SG-1, even though obviously it's still an acceptable crossover. But I'm just looking forward to the suggested rumors that they are going to try and do more SG stuff. I'm hoping they do. It was kind of cool. If nothing else,
I think it's worn out. It's the same fucking thing every time we go through a thing. We find something, and it just.
Okay, let's be fair though, Cabby. How many films nowadays are not just crap repeats of old stuff?
Exactly. That's why I've given up even downloading films now. Not even fucking worth the bandwidth.
Fair play. Though, actually, saying that, have you seen Mortal Engines yet?
No.
Give that a look. See what you think.
Mortal Engines.
Yes. It's very, very different. Just give it a look.
No, we're talking about cowboys. I told you I like cowboys.
No cowboys in this. Mortal Engines is very much steampunk.
Okay, well, no Bollywood thing. All right, okay.
All right.
Steampunk. I'm a bit of a fan of steampunk, I'm gonna say.
It's interesting, And the other thing that's kind of cool about it for us.
Well, no, it's sort of Blade Runner. You know, Blade Runner. That's what really created the whole steampunk kind of fandom, really.
Well, yeah, that created the whole punk when it comes to TV series and things like that. Because remember that most people think there's only steampunk and cyberpunk. Oh crap! No, there's a good half dozen other ones out there that all.
But it created a genre. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh no,
genre.
I completely agree with you there. And you know, a lot of people are going to sit there and shriek at me, but I liked Blade Runner, the original. Wasn't a fan of 2049 or whatever the new one is, but the original, damn good film.
How could anyone not like it? It's a classic.
Yeah, yeah.
What could anyone say against Blade Runner?
Something I agree with you with.
Oh, cool.
Yay.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement. Oh, happy days. It's Christmas. It's a miracle.
Not quite yet.
It's the season for it.
That's fair.
It's one of those, to me, it's one of those films that I would put in the top 10 films that you should watch if you're into any form of sci-fi. It really is one of them.
Yeah.
Good. It's like a lot
Same
of
as
people
like 12 Monkeys and
yes. 2001.
Yeah, The Fifth Element.
Yeah. Yeah. Good film, actually. A lot of people don't like it, but I actually really quite enjoyed that film.
Oh, we're talking about the one with the girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and Chris Rock looking as faggoty as possible.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh no, was that Chris Tucker? That was Chris Tucker, not
Chris Tucker.
Rock. Sorry. Yeah,
Chris Rock.
Wrong Chris.
Chris Rock doing that. That would have been very
I know, right?
No, but as far as I'm concerned, there are certain films that are definitely films that you should watch before you die, and I would definitely say yes. I liked that film.
Superb film. Way underrated, I think.
Yes, no, that's what I was going to say. A lot of people really take the piss out of it, but it was very underrated. Good film, good story, and good effects in it as well. So
it's good though. You see, it's kind of like etiquette. If somebody doesn't like it, you find out that they are lower class. You don't have to mix with them. He doesn't know how to use his soup spoon.
All right. Okay.
Well, what's your favorite sci-fi film of all time, Matt?
My favorite sci-fi film. It has to be one film. Can't be a trilogy.
No, one film.
One film. Commit, damn it.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Give me a second here while I think about that. That's hard. I gotta pick which Star Trek movie it is.
That's what she said.
For me,
oh my God.
For me, it's easy. My favourite sci-fi film is Alien 2, or Aliens, if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
I like that film, and I don't care if people take the piss.
No, I think it was a great film.
Good.
It was.
I love
the original. I think the second one was, it's one of those rare breeds where they actually improved, on the original.
Yes, agree completely.
I'm gonna have to get fucked with, but I'm going with First Contact.
Oh, you fag!
I don't know.
I'm not going to actually fight you on that one. It was a good film, but I wouldn't class it as a favourite. I would agree.
Put that.
It was my favourite in the Star Trek series of films. Sorry, Cabby, you'll go, mate.
No, sorry, no, okay, yeah, in the Star Trek clan, but that's your favourite all-time sci-fi film?
Yeah, it would have to be.
You put that above Blade Runner? You put that above?
Yeah, not a big Blade Runner
ones
fan.
That we mentioned. Yeah.
Fifth Element. Fifth Element, kind of cheesy, but good, but kind of cheesy, so not my favorite. Blade Runner, I've only seen it once. I don't really give a shit about it. When I was a kid, The Last Starfighter was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, that was fun as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the cinema when it first came out. I was sitting there with popcorn.
Super Troopers, or not. Yeah, I think, is that what it is? Where they're killing the bugs or whatever?
Starship.
Oh yeah, no.
Starship Troopers.
Starship
there we go.
Troopers. Yeah,
That's
Super
good.
Troopers is that's
the cop, the
police,
cop comedy.
the policeman. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that was a good one. John Heinemann, wasn't it? Isn't that the
Robert A. Heinlein?
Yeah, Robert A. Heinemann. Thank you.
That's all right, mate. No worries.
And what is it? Pitch Black or something like that? That was good.
Oh yeah, that was the first movie of a trilogy, actually.
I couldn't see anything when it was fucking happening. The contrast was so stupid.
The Riddick Chronicles. Pitch Black was the first movie of the Riddick Chronicles.
Yep.
Yeah, that was.
Not many know that Pitch Black was the very first movie, though.
That has to be sci-fi. They're on Mars.
But people have a tendency to believe that the Chronicles of Riddick is the first movie, but that's the second movie. Pitch Black was the first one.
Yep.
I'm doing my geekiness.
Sorry, hon. Carry on.
I'm just saying I'm showing my geekiness.
Yeah, Chronicles was actually a good little film as long as you're willing to switch off the brain and enjoy the fun and craziness.
Yeah, but that's not sci-fi, right? Because it's fantasy, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. You know, people can take everything too seriously. So things can be fun in isolation, but then if you're looking at the lore, then you start looking at whether or not any of it makes any sense. It all starts to get a bit fucked up. That doesn't mean that you still can't enjoy little, portions of whatever's there. Like, the Borg may not really make any sense, but what the hell? Sit back, just enjoy the CGI and eat the hot dog.
Yeah. Can I just make a little point here? None of us have mentioned any of the Star Wars movies, including the first three. Interesting, huh?
Well, no, I was gonna fuck with you guys and say the Phantom Menace as the best sci-fi movie ever, but I couldn't even spit that out.
Fucking Jar Jar Binks me, man. I am getting Jar Jar Binks.
God, could you imagine if they bring something like that fucker into some of our other films? Oh God.
Oh, they will, guaranteed. I mean, Disney now, right? So it'll probably be. We'll probably go back to they'll think that maybe if we do a 1950s retro thing and they start putting animated characters in there, we'll have little bunnies and maybe Bambi in the background or something.
Oh no, that's just a horrible thought, dude.
How can we use our back catalogue? Cinderella pops up and gets shagged by Kylo Ren.
Oh no, they won't do that because they want to push the whole cross gender and shit. So it'd probably end up with
well, that's all right. Kylo Ren can be partial trans, so he can still talk it.
Okay, so since you guys brought up Star Wars, the best Star Wars movie has to be Empire, right? Come on.
Yeah, actually, I liked that one.
I did. Well, I like the first one. I love the first one, but I mean, it was.
I haven't heard anything about Stargate from you guys.
Huh?
Can you say it again, Tom?
What's your opinion on that?
On what?
Stargate.
I like Stargate.
We've already debated that. Where did you go? Did you black out?
Yeah, I must have spaced out or something.
Oh no, Stargate's quite good.
No, not Star Trek, Stargate.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Stargate was actually quite good. It had a nice idea. Unfortunately, because of SG-1 going for as long as it bloody well did, it did just become same old, and that was the problem. Though,
and you can't binge watch them, can you?
No.
It literally is. You may as well just watch the same episode on repeat.
Okay. I totally forgot about this show. X-Files. That's definitely sci-fi. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, but it's a series. It's not a movie. We're
Yeah.
talking movies.
They made movies.
Oh no, well
but...
they did. Yeah, the X-Files movie though really sucked.
Oh God, yes.
Well, it was all right.
It was awful. Oh,
the whole premise of the weaponized bees or whatever, like that was pretty
and they end up in the North Pole. How?
Okay, maybe I'm just a freaking X-Files fanboy. Maybe that's it. You're probably right.
You are just a fanboy, aren't you?
Well, come on, X-Files is pretty good. You know what's sad though? I haven't seen the reboot that they did, so I need to check that out.
I watched it. I think the problem I've got with it is, unfortunately, at this point, people that want to call me ageist now can, but they needed to change the main characters because those two are too old to be doing the shit they're doing.
Yeah. You don't want to bring back Gillian Anderson. We want to remember her when she was remotely attractive. And she's a ginger anyway.
Oi. The problem I had with it is it's all going on about their child and the fact that it's like part alien and no, it lost a lot of it lost a lot of its original story because they really focused in on that and it just didn't seem to work as well, in my opinion.
I think I gave up about 45 minutes in. I never went back to it. Yeah.
Fair play. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to head, people, so you guys look after yourself. I'll see you later.
No, my internet keeps going in and out, so I'm probably going to end it right here anyway if you want to hold on a second, Jensen.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to tell Cabby to fuck himself over on his channel. Good night, good luck, and don't fucking go to France or Portland, Oregon for that matter. We're out of here, peace.